Welcome to the European History Show. The people that we're going to be talking about today are Metternich and Bismarck. These are two extremely different people. The first difference, number one, that you need to know is that they lived in different times. Metternich lived in the early 1800s, Bismarck lived in the later 1800s, but they were both conservatives. And we're going to talk about their different foreign policy methods, as well as the methods they used to get what they want. Background information. Metternich is this guy who is an Austrian. And he does not like liberalism, and he does not like Napoleon. Because Napoleon came in and pretty much just messed up the whole map. Anyway, so Metternich has this genius idea to get all these people together in what is called the Congress of Vienna. So he gets all of these powerful people together at this Congress and basically says, this is how we're going to restore Europe to its previous power before Napoleon messed everything up, and also kind of suppress liberalism. So, first, he said, we're going to make a balance of powers, which basically just meant we're going to make a few huge countries so that France doesn't have enough power to rise up and destroy any of us anymore, because that was not a fun time. And everyone's like, yeah, that sounds great. So they make the borders stronger, and they kind of change the borders around to pre-Napoleonic era, and everyone gets little pieces of land here and there. And then he says, we also need to put legitimate monarchs in, because he has this grand idea that if you put legitimate monarchs into the head of a country, that everyone's just going to accept them because they're legitimate. And now we're going to talk about Bismarck. So Bismarck is this Prussian guy who's like, let's get all of these little pieces of land together and put them all together and unify them under one name of Germany. But catch, these people are all going to be ruled by Prussia. So he comes in and he kind of tries to take all this land from Austria, and he kind of grabs all this land that was in the Holy Roman Empire and unites it all under the German Empire. So that's Bismarck. Also, he has a really cool hat. First difference is their ideology. Metternich is kind of an idealist. He's coming in here and saying, look, we can switch around the borders and everyone will kind of be fine with it. And if we put a monarch in the head of a country and he's legitimate, then everyone's going to be fine with it. Metternich's an idealist, right? Bismarck is not. Bismarck is into real politics. He is looking at at Metternich and kind of saying, you know, what were you thinking? Of course people aren't going to be happy if you put a legitimate monarch up in the head of their country. And just because you say they're legitimate, the people are automatically like, oh, well, duh, I like them. So, Bismarck has this idea that if he wants to get something, he can't get it through just talking and through just assuming. He needs to get it through being practical. Bismarck's ideology is like, if I need to go to war, I will go to war. If I need to sign a treaty, I will sign a treaty. Whatever I need to get my goals, that's what I'm going to do. Difference number two was their view on nationalism. So, Metternich is this guy who has this huge country of Austria, and so here's Austria, and over here a little bit is some of Italy, and then you've got some of Hungary somewhere around here, and you've got some of the Holy Roman Empire somewhere around here, and you just have bits and pieces of different little nationalities all stuck under one name of Austria. So he's super against nationalism because he starts thinking and he says, oh boy, if these people come up and are like, I love my nationality, I love where I come from, I love the people I'm around, I love the culture that I'm in, then they're going to start thinking, they're going to be like, wait a second, but why am I ruled by someone who is Austrian when I'm not Austrian? So he's like, no nationalism. You have to support Austria. I don't care if you're Hungarian. I don't care if you think you're Italian. You're not. You're just Austrian, so deal with that. This doesn't really work as an example with the Hungarians. The Hungarian people are like, no, I'm Hungarian, and I want to be represented by someone who is Hungarian in my government. I don't want to be represented by some random Austrian guy. I don't care if he's a legitimate monarch or not. He's not my leader. And they revolt, and they get crushed, and they all get killed, and that's a big bummer for them. But that just kind of shows that Metternich's ideas don't always really work. Most of the time, they really don't work. So, as opposed to Metternich's view on nationalism, Bismarck has the exact opposite idea on nationalism than Metternich has. Because Metternich is like, no nationalism. Bismarck, on the other hand, is like, yay, nationalism, because what he wants to do is he wants to unite everybody who is German under one German name. So he's thinking if he gets this piece of land, and this piece of land, and this piece of land, and tells all of them that they're Germany, if they get super excited and they're like, yes, we're German, then they're going to be more willing to support German unification and to be really excited that they're getting unified under one country and that all of them are coming together as one nationality. And it's a big, happy family. And now, on to similarities. You may ask, these two guys seem so different. What could be the similarities between the two? Well, they were both conservative, although conservative kind of meant slightly different things from the beginning of the 1800s to the end of the 1800s, but one of their main differences is that their goals, and actually one of the only things that Metternich succeeded long-term, is pacifying France. How Metternich deals with this is he obviously puts all these huge countries in, and there's a balance of power, and so since there's all these huge countries, just imagine this, there's huge France is tiny. Actually, it's probably not that little, but you get my point. They can't really do anything about it. Everyone really kind of hates them and is like, you messed everything up for us. Like, we're not inviting you to any of our hangout sessions, and you're not gonna sit at our lunch table, and we're probably never gonna text you to ask you to hang out ever again. So France is just kind of stuck being the loner, eating lunch by himself, which is a bummer. Metternich didn't have too many things that worked in the long term, but that did work, which is nice that Metternich at least had one success. He's not a complete failure. Bismarck, he did not like Napoleon III. So, Wilhelm I sends Napoleon III this telegram. But Bismarck, being the clever guy that he is, intercepts this telegram and changes all of the words. So, if you translated it into modern English, it'd be like, Dear Napoleon III, you smell really bad. I don't like you very much. No one likes you very much. You're gross. Love, Wilhelm. And then he sends it off to Napoleon III, and Napoleon III gets real mad. And that, as well as some other things that have to do with Napoleon III being like, oh my god, I'm getting surrounded by all of these rulers that are all connected to Wilhelm I, and it's really bad, and he's kind of feeling very vulnerable. So France, as Bismarck intended, freaks out and is like, oh my god, we need to go to war! So then they go to war, and France gets destroyed, and basically the Franco-Prussian War leads to the downfall of Napoleon III, and France is not powerful still, and they're just not doing too hot. So both of those leaders successfully made France not very powerful.